Hey guys, it's Emily. Welcome to Posy Lane. At Posy Lane, we like to do fun, easy, doable crafts. If you're brand new here, you can subscribe for more crafting videos. And if you're returning, I'm so glad you've come back to craft with me. Today, we're going to be making 4 fruity party decorations that would be great for a summer bash. We're going to be making napkin rings and bookmarks, and we're going to be making party favor bags. And the last craft, we're making a centerpiece, and in that one, we'll have a surprise use for pool noodles. We are going to be drawing and cutting out all these different fruits, and we're going to be using all these different materials, but don't worry, I've kept all the shapes pretty simple, and I will go through every single step. We have so many crafts to make, so let's just jump into it. We're going to be making napkin rings, and we're going to have a fruit in the center of each napkin ring. So we're going to be using this vinyl paper that's from the Dollar Tree and the natural nautical rope that's also from the Dollar Tree to build them. All of these crafts today would be great for a summer party or gathering, and you can use just one of these ideas or you could use all of them. It just depends on what you want to make and also what you need for your party. We're going to be making 4 different fruits for each of the napkin rings. I'm doing all these different really basic shapes, and I used everyday objects to make the shapes out of. For example, I used a lid to a mason jar for the rind and also the flesh of the watermelon. So with this one, I just set it down about halfway and traced the rind. And then you want the red to overlap that a little bit smaller, so I just traced a little bit less of that lid for the red. You can see because I made the red a little bit smaller than the green, that will lay on there nicely and you can still kind of see like a green rind. For our next shape, we used this everyday household object, which is like a little Dixie cup that you keep. And I just traced the bigger part of it to act as the kiwi. And then for the center of the kiwi, I just drew a little circle on the white. For the strawberry, I didn't use a shape. I did the trick where if you fold your paper in half and then you unfold it and it looks like a heart. And then I just cut off the bottom of the heart so it was a little bit more flat, like a natural strawberry. For the leaves, I just did teardrop shapes because I want 2 little leaves to go at the top of the strawberry. I wanted to do a pineapple because it's my favorite fruit, and I realized it's like an oval shape, and my son had this little silly putty like container, just half of it laying out, and it's the perfect shape for a pineapple. I free drew these 3 little spikes that will act as the little crown on top of the pineapple. For our next step, we're going to be using cardstock to build all the stickers on. And the reason we're doing that is just so that it has a good, strong base. And then we're going to be using a Sharpie to add some little fun details like seeds. One thing I want to note is that the vinyl is kind of see-through, so when I layered the red on top of the green, you can kind of see the green through the red, and it makes it not as bright, but I like that because it actually looks more like real watermelon. As I said earlier, I'm just going to add little details to all the stickers. I'm adding seeds to the watermelon, kiwi, and strawberries. For the seeds, they're all going to be like a simple teardrop shape. And then for the pineapple, I'm just going to make a hash shape. I've cut all of the fruits out now, and I have this nautical natural rope that I found at the Dollar Tree, and I've pre-cut it. I just made it where I felt like a napkin would be able to go through it. I'm just going to hot glue the ends together. And I think I cut it about 5 inches. It might be a little bit more than 5 inches. have 4 napkin rings all hot glued together, and I'm going to just put the fruit on top of where the seam is with hot glue so that you don't see that seam. This is my first time using the Dollar Tree vinyl paper as a sticker, and I think it's so easy to work with, especially in like smaller amounts like this. And I love how each of these fruits pop and look so bright compared to the white napkin. We're gonna be making party favor bags just out of your classic brown paper lunch sack. We're gonna be using cardstock to make it look like different fruits. My daughter and I have always played on this app for years and years. And in it, there's these simple shapes and simple colors. And you look at that to guess iconic movies and characters like The Simpsons or Captain America or Charlie Brown. And we're gonna be kind of making this craft the same way. We're gonna be using simple shapes and colors to make fruit. And when you see these, you'll know exactly what the fruit is. I bought this whole stack of cardstock, and I think it was less than $5 for 60 sheets. The first party favor bag we're making is a kiwi, and I already traced out all the shapes, but we're gonna cut them out and assemble it together. For the kiwi, we need a white center, so I just used a cup, again, that I had used earlier to trace a circle, and then I made a rectangle out of the green, tracing the top half of the brown paper bag. You can use scissors. I have a paper cutter, and so for all the straight lines, I'm gonna use it because it will save time. I'm going to be using glue dots. They're like a lifesaver. There's no dry time, and they're even easier than using double stick tape, and they come like 300 in a roll. Just like with the napkin ring holder, I drew some seeds with a Sharpie around the kiwi. For the pineapple, all we need is a yellow square that I traced from the paper bag, and then a little bit of green to go on the top to act like the crown. To make it look like the spikes that are on the outside of a pineapple, we're just going to use a ruler and Sharpie to make some crisscross lines. The orange may be the simplest one that we're making. You need to have a rectangle that's the whole size of the paper bag, and then you need 2 leaf shapes, which I just made teardrops, and 1 little circle. With a watermelon, I have this red paper that I just traced into a rectangle, and then I made another green strip like I did with pineapple for the bottom to act like the rind. Now that I have the paper secure on here, I'm just using my Sharpie again to draw teardrop shapes to look like the seeds. We're using these basic colors and shapes, and you can totally tell what these fruits are, even though they're not the exact shape of the fruit or maybe the exact size of what the actual fruit is. We're going to be making paperclip bookmarks. They're going to have little fruit on the top. So obviously we're using paper clips, and then to make the fruit, we're going to use felt. If you made the party favor bags that I just showed in the last craft, you can use these bookmarks to add as a party favor inside the bag. Or if you just want to encourage like your kids in summer reading, you could make these and give them to them. And whenever I think about summer reading, I think about like the book clubs that people have and different companies have. I've done them at the library, and I've also heard about like Pizza Hut where they would give you free pizza. I wonder if they still do that one. For the bookmarks, I thought I'd do some different fruits I hadn't done yet, so I decided to do a pear and a cherry. And so for the pear, I just free drew the pear shape and traced two of them so that I can glue them to each other, and I'm gonna sandwich one of the paper clips in between with hot glue. And then I just cut a thin strip of brown that will be the stem. With the cherry, I made a heart by folding it in half and cutting out half of a heart shape, and then I just kind of rounded off the bottom so that it didn't have that point and it looks like a cherry. And again, I just made two of the cherries so I can sandwich the paper clip in between them with hot glue. And then with the cherry, I used another thin strip of brown for the stem, and I made a teardrop shape for the leaf. These were so quick and easy to make. I love how felt. You can cut into almost any shape. And what I did, because I'm giving this as a party favor, is I used cardstock and just wrote a cute little summer on there with different colors, and I made slits in it so I could insert the paper clips. This is the last craft that we're going to be making. We're making a fruit salad centerpiece for the middle of the table, and we're going to be using the cardstock like we used for the party favor bag. I know I mentioned that we're going to be using pool noodles, and what we're going to be doing is slicing off pieces of the pool noodle, and that's going to act as a stand to keep our paper fruits standing up. For the watermelon, I cut out a slice shape with the red. I cut a rind using this shape, making sure that it was bigger than the red so that it will show through. The thing about a centerpiece is you need to be able to see it from all the different sides, front and back. So I cut this rind out where you'll be able to see the red flesh from both sides. I'm making a strawberry. It's basically a heart shape with just the bottom cut more flat so it's not so pointy. I forgot to mention that I also have two little teardrop shapes for some leaves, and I'll put one leaf on each side, and then I'm just going to cut out a little tiny rectangle to act like the stem. For the kiwi, I'm using that same paper cup and made a circle, and then I just made a tiny circle free-handed to act as the center. For the orange, I used a mason jar lid and just traced it for a circle, and then I made two bigger teardrop shapes for the leaf, and then I'm just going to cut a little thin strip to act as the stem. If you'll notice, I'm using tiny little scraps of paper to make some of these shapes. I am an old school scrapbooker, and you learned when you did scrapbooking that you save every little piece of paper because you never know how you could use it. The last fruit we're making is a pineapple, and I just drew an oval free-handed. That's why it looks a little rough. When I cut, I usually cut it out smoother, so it's okay that I'm not that great at tracing. And then I just free-handed the crown or the leaves of the pineapple, just doing 3 little spikes. I'm using the glue dots again to attach everything, and because this is so narrow, I'm just going to rip apart part of the glue dot so that it's the size that I need to attach it. Just like with everything else, I know you're shocked, I'm just going to make little teardrop shapes for seeds. I did all the same details on these fruits like I did on the paper bags and on the napkin rings, so it all kind of stays consistent. Again, we're using the pool noodle and making slices to act as a stand for all of our fruits. And what's so great with this pool noodle is you just need a kitchen knife to slice it. Once you have your slice, just take the knife and don't go all the way, but go in there and make a slat so that you have somewhere to put your fruit. This literally took me seconds to cut it and make it, and it really works great, and it's so stable to act like a stand. Here's our collection of fruit on the stands, and now let's get all the fruity crafts we've made and look at them all together. You guys, I feel like I'm in the produce aisle at a grocery store. Look at all these fruits. And I thought every single one of these looked cute individually, but when you put them all together, it is so adorable. My kids are gonna love these. I'm planning on doing like a summer bash when school gets out at the end of this month and keeping all this fruit thing stuffed in mind for it. I can't wait to use it, and I hope that these things will help you out with your summer party. Thank you guys so much for joining me here at Posy Lane this week. I had so much fun with you guys, and I can't wait to craft with you next week.